it is your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question. And this is something that he has encountered: how to really handle and back down a malignant narcissist or a psychopath in the workplace. Someone who keeps putting their foot in your cubicle, their foot on your desk. They keep putting an elbow into your conversation. They keep trying to distract you, take credit, take the bigger, the big grandiose ego and stick it in everything that they do, like it is their stamp of authority that they want to be present to, that they want to take credit for, that they want to be, the big hat with no cattle. They just want to be the sheriff in town without the title, without the experience, without the work. They just want to kind of gallivant around. And very typical of a malignant narcissist or a sociopath. They will do whatever it takes, say whatever it takes to get where they want, even if it means climbing the corporate ladder, if it means getting credit or getting opted into board approval, or, getting into management groups where they don't belong. There is a whole slew of those individuals who have absolutely, positively no conscience, no qualms with misrepresenting themselves. They do not flinch. They do not fear. They think that, what they say goes. So as Dr. Martha Stout exemplified in her book, The Sociopath Next Door, she gives a story of a Dr. Dorian Litchfield, basically, who stated, gave sexual favors to these two very high-profile psychologists, and they wrote her a letter of recommendation, and she was working in a mental hospital with a doctorate title, yet she had no such degree, and she did this for years, and she was trying to sabotage other coworkers by penalizing their patients when she was jealous of them. She would tyrannize the other staff members and tell them things like, you have a meeting to go to, why aren't you at the meeting? And these unsuspecting people would be like, I didn't hear about any meeting. And she'd send them, running through the hospital trying to find a meeting that never occurred. So just really pathological, lying through one's teeth. And this, sort of disruption that most people would not feel comfortable with. In other words, they would be more autonomous. They'd be more, respectful of people's boundaries. They'd be more accountable for their own autonomy and their own responsibilities. They wouldn't need people. They would not need to depend on people in this manner. In other words, they would not need to take credit from others' work. They would not need to sabotage work because they'd be doing work of their own. And so you can see how these lines can become very blurred and can be very distressing for those people who encounter this at the workplace, because that is your livelihood. That is where you spend the bulk of your day. That's, where you spend the bulk of your time and plan to have a future. But you can't have, your prefrontal cortex, which is the area of your mind which is responsible for, foresight, planning, dreaming, judgment, moral acuity, that focus. It's hard to have that engaged and feel completely fulfilled if, you're forever in the fear mode with this individual, where if you feel that, they're constantly making you hypervigilant, you're constantly kind of agitated by them. How do you back this covert bully down? Well, first of all, it's acknowledging that they're doing this out of insecurity. So you actually have a leg up here. Do not be fooled by the illusion that this individual is smarter, more intelligent. They might come across as like more charming, or they want your visual attention. They want you to be visually looking at them in the meeting, in the hallway, in whatever. They constantly want your eyes on them. You can feel it, a magnetic pull. That's how these people get you off base. So realizing that you need to come back into your own space and say, okay, I understand that this is what they do, but how do I really, back them down? You may need to confront them. You may need to say, stop, not here. You might need to speak up in a very indifferent and neutral tone to back them down. And declare with no uncertain terms, even if you need to stand up and really kind of give a physical presence, and just to say, back down, back off. We are on task here. Please stop. Please don't interrupt. You need to speak with a few decisive, firm terms in order to be declarative. And, not, coming from a timid sense and not being overly polite, because this person is definitely violating you. And, and not making a plead or coming from a state of weakness, it's really backing them down. In other words, but you don't want to lose control by saying, this is really disruptive. You're reacting to the situation. So you want to respond and make statements of fact and not enter into the boxing ring or, combativeness, because it is then this, which then, gets people, losing their job if they lose their cool. So backing them down, saying something is extremely important, and not showing that you are affected by them by saying, you're distracting to me, you're too loud, because then, you're making them the problem, but it's really it can be deciphered as you're too sensitive. So you need to really, in terms of declaring your space, it's realizing that it's okay to question their authority and not be blindly obedient to what they're saying, or to feel like that, you won't take it a step further. And so, you can look at them and then have, in your mind, if they're coming in, and then, you can just say to them, would you like me to take this a step further? Management is involved, and then making it seem that, you are very serious and that you're onto them. But you don't want to say like, I'm onto you. You want to actually, go to your authority figures and not be intimidated, but just say, I've become aware of this issue and I've seen this and this occur. And, for the environment that it's creating a hostile, disruptive work environment. So you want to use those terms, specifically stating that to HR, because that's what they're looking for. If it's making it a very uncomfortable or hostile work environment, then this needs to be brought to their attention. So don't feel like you have to do it alone. You've got actually backing to support you. And so don't get caught up in trying to keep backing them down. One statement is enough. And then, if you can have another ally who agrees with you, and then say, we need to do something about this, agreed. And, if this person tries to edge in, stop, we're doing something about this, agreed. And then, just using very declarative terms like that. Don't be afraid to say stop, back off, please. It seems very firm, but firmness is called for. And if they're getting into, the back and forth, the discussion, just say, we can take this a step further, management, right? And then just be very clear, a very few words, but backing them down will let them know that you mean business and that you're protecting your space. And, and not explaining too much and justifying yourself to them, because you don't want to get caught up in the discussion with them. That's not appropriate. Your human resources needs to be the one to address it. And, you should not have to battle this on your own. Some companies are not set up very well with the human resources or supervisors, or they don't enforce it. So if that's the case, then you need to understand the quality of your company and what is going on there, and realizing that the quality of the company might not be strength-based, and there to protect you. So there's no benefit in that. So you have to look at and understand and have a realistic assessment, but you don't need to suffer. stop the suffering right now. Stop feeling like, you're afraid of what they're going to say or the insinuated remarks. Don't put up with that. Block it out. Do not look at them in the eye. Do not answer all their questions. Do not engage in them. Just focus on your work. That is all that matters, is that you provide for the company in the way that you're responsible. If they are a deterrent from this, then you need to understand and communicate that to your higher ups. This person is deterring me. Do not be afraid to, question authority. Do not be afraid. Do not get caught up in blind obedience. Don't feel like you're being oversensitive. Don't, take for, this is just how, business works. Well, if business works here like that, then I need to speak with the human resources, because this is not so. You can make those tracks, but know that you need to get some things written down and know your marching orders, because, to be gainfully employed, you need to be happy. You need to feel safe. You need to feel you have boundaries. You need to feel you have standards. You need to feel that you have management backing you up. If you don't have those elements, then it's going to be like a losing battle. And then that's when these narcissistic, psychopathic people just have a field day. They're all over the place, and it becomes very difficult for someone who, like you, who's just trying to make a decent living, work hard, get credit for it. I mean, that's the name of the game. And if you can't accomplish that within that organization, then you need to say, adios. Elvis is actually in the building. I need to find a quality organization. And make sure you understand that you have the support on your side through organizational structure and hierarchy. Go to those higher ups, question the authority, and don't be afraid to protect your focus, your job, your productivity, and adopt that state of cool, calm, indifference, just, not being reactive, just separating your energy from this person and doing things like, moving your desk, moving your projects, moving your department, writing these things down in specific, then taking it, addressing it with the supervisors. If they can't do it, then eventually, you could take it, to a court of law. You could, whatever. There's, civil defamation of character. There's all sorts of things. The law is there to protect you. Please remember that, and do not tolerate this sort of abuse, particularly when you're trying to be productive, helpful, and a contributing member of a company and society. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. And make sure you put positive things in your workspace, like, pictures of things that you enjoy, that you love, that you can focus on, and bring those into your work environment so you feel at home.